Get ready because a huge change to India's income tax law is on the horizon. Starting April 1st, 2026, we're getting a brand new tax act that's going to shake up some of the fundamental rules we've all lived with for years. So let's jump right in and break down the 4 biggest changes you've got to know about. To really get a sense of how massive this is, just look at that number. 64 years. That's how old the current Income Tax Act is. So yeah, we're not talking about a little tweak here and there. This is a complete replacement of a law that's been the bedrock of our tax system for over half a century. So you might want to circle that date on your calendar. As of April 1st, 2026, the old act is officially out and the new one is in. The whole idea here is to simplify things and bring the entire system into the modern age. Let's kick things off with the first change, which I think is a simplification pretty much everyone is going to love. You know, for as long as I can remember, one of the biggest headaches with filing taxes has been just figuring out the jargon around the tax period itself. Well, the government is finally clearing that up to make the whole process way more intuitive. Okay, so here's how it used to work, and it was always so confusing. You had the previous year, which was when you actually earned the money, and then the assessment year, which was the next year when you filed your taxes for it. It created so much confusion. The new way? So much easier. It's just one single tax year. The period from April 1st to March 31st is when you earn, and it's the period you file for. That's it. Simple, clean, and finally makes sense. Yep, you heard that right. That whole chukker, that endless loop of trying to figure out which year you're even supposed to be talking about is finally over. This is a huge, huge win for clarity. No more head scratching, just one straightforward tax period. Period. All right, let's move on to our second point. And this one's been causing a lot of buzz and, frankly, a bit of panic. We're going to tackle those rumors that the new act is basically giving tax authorities a key to your private social media. So, what's the real story here? I'm sure you've seen something like this floating around online, right? Tax officers can now read all your messages. It sounds pretty terrifying, a massive invasion of your privacy. But that's the myth. So let's get to the bottom of what the law actually says. The reality is, it's not that simple. Not even close. This power is not for random checks on just anyone. First off, it can only be used in cases of serious tax evasion. We're talking major offenses. Second, an officer can't just decide to have a look. They need to get a valid search warrant from a court. And third, they have to follow a very strict legal procedure. This is not some open door to your DMs. So, here's the bottom line, plain and simple. If you're an honest taxpayer doing the right thing and filing your returns correctly, you really truly have nothing to worry about. This whole provision is designed to catch major tax offenders, not to pry into the lives of everyday citizens. Okay, let's switch gears to the third change. And honestly, this might just be the best piece of news in this entire new act. This is a massive relief for anyone who's ever stressed about missing a tax filing deadline. Okay, so picture this. Under the old rules, if you missed the deadline to file your income tax return, any TDS refund you were owed was just gone. Poof, you forfeited it. All that money just vanished. But now, under the new rule, even if you file a late return, you can still claim your full TDS refund. This is an absolute game changer. It encourages people to file even if they're late instead of just giving up on their refund. Now hold on, it's not a total free-for-all. There is, of course, still a penalty for being late. If your income is under 5 lakh rupees, the late fee is 1,000 rupees. If it's over that, it's 5,000. But let's be real, paying a small fee to get your entire refund back is a much better deal than losing it all, right? And that brings us to our fourth and final major change. This one's for all the investors out there, specifically if you deal with sovereign gold bonds, or SGBs. But, and this is key, it only affects those who buy and sell them on the secondary market. So, what exactly is the secondary market? Well, it's pretty straightforward, really. It's just when you buy an SGB from another investor on a stock exchange, instead of buying it directly from the RBI when it was first issued. And that little distinction is about to become very, very important for your taxes. And here's the change. Before, any profit, any capital gains you made from selling these SGBs on the secondary market was completely tax-free, zero tax. Now, a 12.5% tax is going to be applied to those gains. This is most likely a move to close a tax loophole and bring these investments in line with others. It's a pretty big shift for traders in this space.
Whew, okay, so that was a lot to take in, I know. We've talked about a simpler tax year, privacy, refunds, and gold bonds. So let's just do a super quick recap of everything to make sure these 4 key changes really stick.
Here is your 4-point cheat sheet. First, say goodbye to the confusing previous and assessment year mess. It's now just one tax year. Second, tax officers accessing your social media? That's a very limited power, reserved for serious cases, and they need a warrant. Third, if you file late, your TDS refund is safe. You'll just have to pay a small fee. And finally, if you buy SGBs on the stock market, just remember there's now a 12.5% tax on your profits. So, after 64 years, a whole new tax era is about to begin in India. These changes are all about simplifying, clarifying, and modernizing the system we all have to deal with. So the real question is, now that you know what's on the horizon, are you prepared for it?